Hello, geography class. Hey, this unit we're going to learn about weather, climate, vegetation patterns, and such. And I wanted to make a video that explains some of the diagrams in your textbook a little bit more. I think they're kind of hard to understand what's happening. So there are three different causes of precipitation. All right. In every case, what causes water vapor in the air to condense and turn into either rain or snow or hail or some sort of precipitation, the one thing that always happens is a warm air mass is forced up over a cold air mass. So what's or the warm moist air is forced up into the atmosphere, which as it rises, it cools because the farther up in the atmosphere you get, the colder it gets. We lose 3.1 degrees Fahrenheit for every 1,000 feet you go up above the Earth's surface. So there are three different causes of this. The first one is going to be called orographic precipitation. And in this diagram, we've got a prevailing wind that's coming in from the ocean, and it hits a landmass. And in this case, it hits a mountain range. Well, that's going to force this air to rise and condense first into rain, and then later on in the higher elevations into snow. And as it crosses this mountain range, it's actually kind of wrenched free of all of its moisture. And on the backside here, we have a semi arid or a desert area that gets very little rain. All right. This happens in the western part of the United States. Right here, we're looking at the Sierra Nevada range, and the Cascades. We've got warm, moist air coming in from the Pacific, and as it hits this mountain range, these are some of the highest snowfall totals on a yearly basis. We're talking, over 10 to 20 feet of snow falls here a year because of this orographic effect. And then in the lower lying areas, the Pacific Northwest is a temperate rainforest, and the largest trees in the world grow there, sequoias and the redwoods. And this is because of they get a lot of rain and then a lot of snow as it comes on in. Okay, that's the orographic effect. Number two, the second way that precipitation happens is what's called convectional precipitation. If you think about what is the general precipitation patterns in our area in August or July and August, well, you wake up in the morning, it's kind of muggy, it's kind of humid, and as the sun warms the ground, we get these upwellings of warm air, and that takes this air and churns it up into a cumulus cloud, and as it gains in altitude above the ground, it finally condenses and it results in afternoon thunderstorms. We see this during our county fair season. How many thunderstorms happen during the fair in the afternoon or evening? It's just a pretty common occurrence. But as the sun goes down, that upwelling of warm air dies down and things stabilize. And these convectional currents actually play themselves out overnight. So we're talking late afternoon and evening thunderstorms. Some of them can be severe, and then they die off until the next morning. That's what's called convectional precipitation. All right. The third also happens in this area, and this is called frontal precipitation. We've got a warm air mass over here, we've got a cooler air mass over here, and they don't want to mix. The warm air is going to be forced up over the cool air. Remember, cool air falls, warm air rises. So as this warm air tries to overtake this cool air mass, it goes up in the atmosphere, it condenses, and you get rain or snow along this front. Now I've got a map, an interactive map here of the United States. We're looking at the North Atlantic, and this is the frontal system that kind of just passed through our area yesterday. So on the front side of this, it's actually traveling from west to east. So on the front side of this, we've got this upwelling of warmer air. So it's warm, and then it's raining near the front. And then as the front passes, it pulls down cold air from the north, and you get snow on the backside of the front. So this cyclonic action is caused by something called the Coriolis force. So we're not just talking about a static front where it just rains along the front. We actually get uh, upwelling of warm air on the front side. We get this colder air coming down on the back side, and that's why a lot of times, especially in the springtime, it's really warm before a front comes through, and then it rains, and then it turns really cold and actually may snow a little bit on the backside of that front. Because in our latitude, the prevailing winds come from the west to the east. So if we want to know what our weather's going to be in 2 days, we need to look back into California and the Four Corners area of the west, because that system is going to be coming east. I hope this helps explain the three different causes of precipitation. And if you want some more like important words like the windward slope and the leeward side, they're in here. And I'm not going to really explain all of those, but I hope you can now diagram uh, these three diagrams yourself, because that's part of this week's study guide. So take a piece of paper, diagram these three, and label them. You could take a picture of that and send it to me as part of your assignment. I hope this helps. We'll talk later.